What's going on, guys? Sickbid, aka Meek, coming at you with another Draft League Presents. Today we're going to be going over the highlighted Pokemon. That is going to be Manaphy today. Okay, so Manaphy, they got it in the 17-point tier in the WPF. Now the WPF has kind of been making a little bit of changes here and there to this document, so we might see some changes in the next couple of videos. We'll just kind of have to see. But for the time being, Manaphy is at 17 points. I think I'm really not too sure where I think Manaphy should be drafted. In my opinion, probably, and this is a probable because I haven't used Manaphy that much. I've only used him in one season, you know, I don't think I used him to the best of his ability. I was still kind of a young draft league player, so it's pretty tough. I don't really see him drafted too much, but I think definitely at the beginning of Gen 6, or maybe the whole entire of Gen 6, and then the beginning of Gen 7. I know it was a top draft league mon. I mean, we're talking at that time it was probably like top 10, but I think now, you know, I think it's probably top 30, top 40 kind of Pokemon. It's not crazy bulky. I don't want to get into why I think that. I want to get into what I think. So I think it's a top 30. I think it's, you know, it's a really late tier 1 Pokemon, something you can get, you know, in round 8 and 9 and 10, etc. And you know that you won't get sniped early, because it's not drafted very often unless there's like a guy that really loves Manaphy, or, you know, it's his mascot, something like that. Other than that, you can get it pretty late. It says 17 points. It's usually, yeah, maybe it's going to be in the 17 points, but it won't get drafted, if that makes sense. So that's where I think that mon is. I think it's probably, if you're going to pick it up, probably late 8, 9. There's really no rush on it. You know, it's going to be there for a while. So that's just my thoughts. Manaphy, okay, pure water type. It's one of those mythical fairy Pokemons. And I say mythical fairies because before the fairy type was introduced, it was more, oh, excuse me, oopsie, that should be a little bit better. Before the fairy type was introduced, there was a whole bunch of Pokemon, you know, these mythicals, Mew, Shaman, Jirachi, and I said in a previous video that I didn't know the name, but it was fairy mythical. I just didn't think it was that. But they all have 100 stats, okay, so that's just kind of, you know, that fairy mythical, that's what that kind of means. Doesn't mean necessarily the fairy typing, but before it meant fairy mythical. So, without further ado, the resistances, really pretty good resistances here: fire, ice, steel, and water. Okay, so water resists itself, which is, you know, not common among most typings, I feel like. So there's some typings that are just super effective against each other, but water is not effective against water, so interesting. And then only weak to electric and grass. Okay, so that could be interesting. You know, we'll have to get into some pairings that go really well together with it, but for right now, we won't. So the ability hydration. So if it is raining, and let's say you were poisoned, you will automatically at the end of that turn be cleared of that poison. Let's say you rest, if you have a rain dance rest, and you're able to just fill up your whole HP bar at the end of the turn, you won't be asleep anymore. So that's really powerful, and really gives it a crazy way to refill, or to you know, recover pretty well. I mean, at any point you're left at 1%, you recover to 99%, and then you heal because it's raining and you rested. So that's a really strong. It can be a strong ability if the setting is correct. So like if it's raining, only is it really that strong. But very good, very good in the right situation. So 100 stats across the board. 100 HP allows you to get up to the point in which you can't be Nightshade, Seismic Tossed, or whatever, you know, other moves that just do 100 damage at level 100. You will be able to eclipse that point where it'll break your sub. So that's pretty important for those kind of more passive Pokemon that just rely on that 100 damage to break subs, or kind of that's the way that they ruin momentum. But you're able to eclipse that with with a lot of HP. You're able to do that. 100 attack's pretty good. 100 special attack. So you can see 100, 100, 100. Very, very good defensive stats. Okay, not your crazy bulky water, but bulky enough to where it is able to take some hits. Definitely the lack of recovery, if it's not raining, is really kind of the big point where Manaphy kind of falls off a little bit. If it got recover, if it got a couple of those other moves that would be reliably able to get your health back, it would probably be really, really high in the draft. But it's not. So that's just something to think about. 100 attack, 100 special attack, not wall breaking, but very, very good. We'll get into why it is definitely a wall breaker if you want it to be when we get to the moves. And then 100 speed, which is not average, but a little bit above average. I would say average is about 85 or 90, maybe 95 now with the speed creep, but a little bit above average, but still kind of a conjumbled speed tier. So it's not going to outspeed a crazy amount of threats hyper offense wise, but it will outspeed quite a few wall breakers. So that's something to think about when choosing your wall breakers. So very, very good all around. The pure water typing being very good. The ability being kind of niche in that when it's raining, it is the best healer in the game for itself. And then the stats being all around really, really good. So let's get into a couple of sets. So Manaphy is usually, if you're going to draft this, you're drafting it for a couple of reasons, and one of the big ones is for this move in particular called Tail Glow. Some bug move, for whatever reason, this Pokemon gets because of its antennas, raises your special attack by 3. Okay, so here's double and then some more. Okay, doubling and then some more. It can really, its Scald start hurting. And at that point, you might not even want to run Scald. You might just want to run Surf or Hydro Pump just to pump it out. And if you smack something, and even if it's resisted, it's gonna blow you up. Okay, it's gonna two-shot you. Okay, and then probably Psychic for coverage. I'm not sure what that's for. That resists water. But yeah. Then there's your rest. Water EMZ makes it so if you have Z moves, you can use Water EMZ and kind of make it rain, or make it begin to rain with Surf, and then you can rest up any damage that you want. Tail Glow, and then boom, and then just start sweeping. And if you ever get low, rest up. And then I think Water EMZ also raises the speed on Surf. Is that right? No, that's not right. Yeah, that's not right. Okay. But very, very, very strong Pokemon. This set looks like it's a bulky balance set. It's modest 240 with a little bit of speed, so that's kind of interesting. This one's a 3 attacks Tail Glow, which is kind of just avoiding the rest and just saying, hey, Tail Glow, and then I just need to hit everything, just try to do as much damage as I can while I have it. And then whenever something outspeeds me, we'll have to see what happens. So that could be interesting. Those are 2 really good sets, 2 really common sets. Another one is like a bulky pivot. You have U-turn, you have a couple of like Scald or something you take a hit, you turn out because you're forcing whatever it is, a ground type, a fire type, whatever it is that you took that hit from, you turn out and get another breaker in. So got a couple of different sets. You probably want to run leftovers with that because of, the lack of recovery. But let's get into the moves here. We're done kind of with the sets. Let's get into the moves and see what we have as coverage here. So Acid Armor, that's a really good move. I know Reuniclus uses this a lot to raise its defense. So Acid Armor can be really, really good, especially for sweeping. And if you have a rest set and you got either you have Manaphy run Rain Dance, you can just Acid Armor, Rain, or you can Rain Dance, Acid Armor, Rest, and then you have one coverage move, to kind of figure things out. So that could be interesting. Ancient Power is okay. 100% accurate rock move that's special with that Tail Glow could be pretty strong. Aqua Ring is an interesting one. You set up an Aqua Ring, and that could be your reliable recovery, along with Leftovers that heals you about 1/8. So that could be interesting. Blizzard's pretty good. Again, if you set the Rain though, it'll have a lower chance to hit. I think it'll be 50%. So that's something to think about. Bounce, probably not using that too much. Brine is an interesting one because it's good. It's really, really strong for sweeping, especially if it's a resisted hit. It'll do a lot of damage. Not because it's a resisted, but if it is a resisted hit. The whole point is that if the other Pokemon has lower than their 50%, it'll do 110 damage instead of 65, which is your Hydro Pump, except it's 100% accurate. So that's something interesting to think about. Calm Mind's okay. A lot of the time you're going to run or one Tail Glow. Want to run Tail Glow. Gets Dazzling Gleam, which is a really strong fairy type move. It's really good coverage. Energy Ball is pretty good, which I don't know why it gets Energy Ball if it is a water type, but that's not. I'm not here to do that. Grass Knot's pretty good. Let's see here. Heal Bell's good for Heart Swap is really good. So let me explain Heart Swap real quick because I haven't explained it on the channel yet. Heart Swap is you just switch all the stats with your opponent. A lot of the time you're not going to want to do this with Manaphy because Manaphy wants to set up a Tail Glow, but let's say that you're somehow going to outspeed whatever is boosting, you can definitely do that. And it's like a pseudo haze, because it doesn't get haze, but it could be, whatever. I mean, it's a very versatile Pokemon in that Heal Bell, Heart Swap, very good support moves. Could go on a U-turn set, something like that. Ice Beam's really good coverage. Icy Wind's okay. Knockoff's great. Gets Screen. Does it get Reflect? Gets Reflect. So Light Screen, Reflect here. Let's see here. Liquidation's pretty good stab. Psychic, of course. Natural Gift can come in handy. You're not going to use Natural Gift too much. I thought that was something else. Rain Dance. That's definitely on a viable set. Psych Up's the same thing, except you're not swapping it. You are just taking them, or you're not swapping your boosts. You are just they have boosts, so you just copy them, which is a little bit worse in my opinion, depending on the situation. But I would think it's a lot worse. So Return's okay, Safeguard's pretty good, Scald's great, Shadow Ball, Signal Beam here. I think it loses this, but if you don't have cut moves, of course you can use it. Or if you do have cut moves, of course you can use it. Sub is pretty good. Manaphy, very, very strong substitutes with that pure water typing. Surf is great. Here's your fantastic Tail Glow, U-turn, Waterfall. And then Trapping with Whirlpool. And I don't think it gets Perish Song. Okay, good, it doesn't. Because that would be that'd be kind of crazy. But Manaphy, very, very strong Pokemon. It could be a very, very strong wall breaker. You do kind of have to be careful with how you build your team around it because of this pure water typing, and a lot of the time this is going to be because it's your tier 1. It's going to be looked upon to do a whole bunch of things. It wants to sweep. It wants to you're going to need it to sweep a lot. But with that 100 speed, it's kind of not really too much your sweeper all the time, but definitely a really, really strong wall breaker. And people, I think it's really underrated in terms of what people think about it, how often it's picked. So you can definitely get this in a late round pick. Yeah, definitely. But before we move on, I do want to go to the DLC leaked moves for Gen 8. So I couldn't see any in the home data mine. It's not here. It should be right in between these guys. But for whatever reason, it's not. So I don't know. But it is in the Isle of Armor, and it gets Flip Turn, which is U-turn except stab, right? And it's one of, there's a lot of Flip Turners that are good. I think Vaporeon is one of the best. Feeny, of course. But Manaphy's actually a really good Flip Turner, and could possibly really hit the metagame in Rain Cores, because you Flip Turn, you Rain Dance, you Flip Turn, and you can start that Flip Turn starting to hit pretty hard. Plus it's able to go special, so this is like a really, really versatile Rain Sweeper, in my opinion. Having good defenses, having good HP, and having that Rain Sweeper, you can bring it in and then rest off any damage that you take on that switch in from that range setter. So that could be interesting, in my opinion. It could be really interesting what they do whenever the Crown Tundra comes around and we kind of see a couple of new faces. We'll see how Manaphy, hits the scene. But for right now, I think it's a late round pick. It's not. It's the power creep has been pretty strong, and Manaphy has kind of fallen behind quite a bit with the 100 speeds, and it's getting a little bit more difficult to set up those tail glows. But if you set the right team up, you get some really strong fire, grass, probably some pretty strong dragon type. You can really get this thing to go. The reason I say dragon type specifically is if you look at it here, what do dragons really lose to more often than not, and that's the ice types, right? The ice types, some bulky waters can beat them. Some really strong steel types, possibly, maybe can beat them. But the dragon type gives you a resistance to electric and grass, right? So some pretty good. Some pretty good matchups for this mon. Dragapult, very strong Pokemon. It's not on this list currently. I don't think it's on here. But Dragapult is a really strong one in Gen 8. Let's see here. I just realized, is there any Gen 8 mons on this? Hold on. Is there no Gen 8 mons? How am I just noticing this? Alright, yeah, there's no Gen 8 mons. Interesting. Okay, so Dragapult, Kyurem Black. And you can get a couple of these top tier Pokemon because the dragons, they're going to go quick. So you want to grab those guys. Latios is great. But the Manaphy's not going to be going very quick. So you can just, you just chill, like say, hey, let me go through this draft. Let me get my strong dragon type, whatever. Fire, grass, let me wait till the end. I gotta save some points for Manaphy. Grab my tier 4, grab my tier 5. This is your last pick. You know what I'm saying? Not a lot of people are drafting Manaphy nowadays, so it's definitely something that's slept on. But it can bring a lot to your team. One, because of flip turn, that stab water's hurting, and then if you have maybe a rain dance, or maybe a prankster user that knows rain dance, that's really good support for it. Giving it, a solid 8 turns with a damp rock, or 7 turns with a damp rock to put in that work, that could definitely work out. So that's just something to think about with Manaphy and how to support it really well. Dragon type, really important because it resists those dual stabs, and then Manaphy helps out that dragon type in particular. But of course, a fire and a grass are definitely strong and can help you out with those electric and grass weaknesses. So that's something to to think about. I think that's it from me on Manaphy. So we'll have to see you later, or see you tomorrow. And so that's Sickvid, aka Meek, with another Draft League Presents.